I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
There's no music, but we're jamming. Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome to the after show for the show Hollywood episode 4. This episode is called Screen Test. I am here with these amazing panelists. I got my girl Kelsey, my boy Rob, and my boy Gunner, and we're gonna chop this episode up for you like we always do. We of course have our special segments, a little news and gossip, and this trivia game that has become my favorite part of this entire show. But we're going to get into all of that later. First, I want to get your overall thoughts on episode 4, and we're going to start with my boy Rob. What did you think about this episode, man?
Yes, a lot to unpack, a lot thrown on my plate at once, but I had both hands I was eating. I loved everything that was going on plot-wise. We got plants, we got payoffs, we got cameos from big wigs, and we also have some really nice, beautiful stories amongst individuals. Some people actually changing for good instead of bad this time.
Yes. What about you, Kelsey? What did you think of episode 4?
Oof, I loved it. I was sitting outside making noise. I was like, oh my God, oh, what? I was excited to chat with you guys about it because this was, you guys all said, I mean, it was an episode for the ladies and I was here for it and I loved it. And it was so emotional for me, even towards the end. I was like, oof, love Eleanor. I'm just excited to talk about it. It was so good.
Gunnar, what about you, man?
We got the strongest ladies in the house this episode, guys. We have new leaders. We have some really big names coming in. I've just loved it. I was just so proud with all the character growth that was happening. And I can't wait to break it down right now.
Absolutely. This is definitely an episode of the ladies. I can't wait to talk about Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorite first ladies, but we'll get into all of that a little bit later. The whole thing opens up with Mr. Samuels and Miss Kincaid, in a meeting with Ace, and they're kind of running over like what they want to accomplish for the year, the various projects. And then Ace makes the statement that once you get your 8th Oscar, the thrill is kind of out of it, and it then just becomes about money. I thought that was a very interesting perspective, and I guess it does make sense. But to me, since I don't have one, I'm thinking the 8th is going to be just as special as the first. And I don't know, but what do you think that is really how it is? Like, people don't care about the awards; it's all about the money. What do you think, Gunnar?
It's like that's like two kinds of people. You have the ones who are like you and I, who'd be like the 8th is just as exciting as the first, and then you have those people who would be like, oh, I have 8 of them. What's the matter anymore? They're all the same. And so it's all a matter of how you take it, I think. But I definitely would be one or 17. I'd still be excited every single time for sure.
Listen, every nomination, I'm praying like, please, please, please pick me. So I don't know. Kelsey, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would be absolutely just as excited. But there are those people in Hollywood that 100% exist. And especially, I mean, I hope that isn't the case with like a studio head or our studio heads now, but I think that a lot of the times it is about money to them, and that's how they run their stuff, and that's why they do well. So it was gross to hear him say that, but I was like, yeah, that's probably real.
Yeah, and I mean, like, as he was completely degrading all of the women that they mentioned as they were running through the scripts, it kind of reminded me of someone who, you know, there have been accusations and he is now serving time and all of that stuff. So it just kind of reminded me of all of this. What did you think about that? What did you think about that, Rob? A little bit of reality going on in this scene?
Yes, and also those accusations are now, that's guilty.
Right, I don't have to say alleged anymore, right? I can just be like...
No. Yeah, he's gone. But
nasty.
I those people, they called them suits back in the day. They didn't call them suits for no reason. You know, those guys are the finance guys. You know, they want money.
Yeah.
Oscars are cool, but Oscars, you know, at that time frame, that means more money. That means more people coming to see you now because of this Oscar behind you. And someone like him who has 8, come on, he doesn't care about that anymore. This is all money and power at this point. And as you can see with this character, from the way he interacts with anybody who works for him or his love interest, it's all about power. So I totally believe every part of him saying that.
Yeah, I mean, like, he absolutely cares about no one but himself, from his daughter all the way down to the mistress. Like, he just does not give a darn about anyone. But what we did see, so one of our predictions that we had last episode was that there was, of course, going to be this clash with Archie and Raymond. I didn't expect this clash to come at the top of the episode, but there it was right there in our face. Raymond really wants his girlfriend Camille to at least be able to screen test and, depending on her performance, possibly be casted in this role. Archie does not want to do I think not a color. Did he call it a color piece? What was the term that they used to basically call it a black movie? He doesn't want to do where there's a black writer and a black lead actress.
An ethnic, right? Ethnic something?
Something along those lines. I don't remember what the actual term is, but it basically means I don't want to do a color piece. And so they have this conversation right off the bat. And then eventually, Archie finds out that they want to take his name off of the script. And now he's like, you know what? Screw him. I'm tired of playing the game. Let's just do what we want to do. And he's all in, and they're there running through lines with Camille. I thought that was a beautiful scene. What did y'all think about that moment? That whole moment from finding out they want his name off all the way to him being like, you know what, screw the studio. What did you think, Kelsey?
I wrote down Rob nailed it in all capitals to start it out. And I agree. I mean, I agree with you that I didn't think that they were going to get into that so quickly, but it was nice how it ended up playing out. And it was really cool to see Archie kind of like realize, like, hey, I'm not the only one fighting this fight. We're all fighting this fight. She's fighting this fight too. So like, let's do it together. We're in this together. And I loved that scene. And I love how they filmed it too, with the three of them helping Camille, and then Jack and Claire rehearsing as well. I thought
going back and forth in the editing.
Yeah, I really loved that. And I mean, it was great. It was really cool, and it was really powerful. I think like when Archie went over to, I want to say Darren Chris. I forget his name, but his house.
Raymond.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Went over to Raymond's house, and he was just like fired up. Oh, it was good. It was so much emotion. So I love that.
Yeah. What I love is that I feel it was very much a real moment. I feel like I know, especially back then, when it comes to television, film, and music, they were constantly taking the names off and putting somebody else's name in place of. What did you, as a writer specifically, like, I'm sure I don't write nearly as much as Rob does, but even just like the minute little changes, kind of like, oh, but I really wanted this line. So as a writer, like when they want to take your name off, what would that mean to you, Rob?
I wouldn't let him take my name off. That's a give me liberty, give me death kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me. But I do love the way that he kept that internalized, right there. You see like this quiet rage when he's being told. And then when he gets to Raymond's house, then he explains and that rage comes out, and you see all these emotions. But one great thing I loved about that scene is how he sees Camille. And Camille, he did prior to this, he wanted no parts of her in his film. He wrote it for a specific person. And now he sees her, and now you see the change right there on it. And you see the link up right immediately. There was no thought like, okay, yes, you should be in the movie. Yes, let's do this. And they immediately go from adversaries to allies in a few seconds, and it was great.
Yeah, the blink of an eye. Yeah. What did you think about this scene, Gunnar?
It just shows the importance of uniting amongst your community, not letting there be divide, especially with the sense of like a black writer and a black actress, like you're all in the same fight together. And that even if it gets put that way, if it could still hit Ace Studios and a mainstream company, like that's the most important part, and getting that representation out there. And it was really important, that scene. I got really worried with Darren Chris's character that he was gonna get too nitpicky on his girlfriend, because he like was trying so hard and wanting her to like be the best, and he was gonna go too far, that she was gonna kind of crack under that. And I was like, back off, let her do her thing. Like
So let's talk about that. That was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about, which was like, so when you're in that position, whether you're hosting, acting, singing, whatever, and you have a coach or somebody, you're reading lines with somebody, and they kind of give you, critiques, most of the time in that space, that is the one time where legit, you can almost say anything to me. I'm not going to take it personally, because I know at this moment we're in this to like make this the best it can be. And you're only trying to push me and make me better. So I low key felt like he almost, like Camille kind of, in my opinion, she kind of overreacted a little bit, because I'm like, he's only trying to help you. Like, I get it that you're like everybody in this moment is frustrated because we all want this to work. But to me, she just kind of overreacted, and I was like, whoa, I didn't really see that coming. What did you think about that, Rob?
Well, I think that with Raymond, I think he was pushing her a little bit harder because he has this mindset of like, hey, she may not get the part. You know, they
Right.
don't want her already because of the color of her skin. And the way he keeps relaying this to her, her only chance, her only chance. And I believe Camille took that as someone who could pass, like she said, who could pass,
Right.
advising her on, hey, this is her only chance, and you have it this hard because of, because of the color of your skin, and these are things that she already is thinking about. And I think she took it that way because of those reasons. But at the same time, Raymond being someone who can pass, he's heard the conversations,
Right.
the unfiltered conversations about
Right.
other race. So he can, that sense of urgency he has is valid and just.
Yeah. So Kelsey, when you saw that, was that one of the moments that pulled at your heart where you were like starting to tear up a little bit, or were you kind of like, girl, come on, get your head in the game. Let's make this happen.
I was going back and forth because I agree with Rob, but I think also that she was so, like, she knows that he knows, like, and what he's saying is correct. And I think it's also a lot harder to have that be your significant other telling you that, when she knows also that he's just doing this and saying this because he wants it for her, like, and wants it so badly for her. And she's like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm trying. Let me do my thing, So I was going back and forth. I didn't think that she overreacted. I think that that was her just bubbling up and almost like getting mad internally, which we kind of learned later on that she couldn't make herself cry, right? So she knew it. She was like, I'm getting pissed at myself. I'm getting pissed at you because I know you're right. And I know you're the person I should be listening to because you're going to be casting, or playing a part in this casting. I think it was just like all piling on.
Yeah, and so while this is going on, or really right after, there's a scene where Jack has a conversation with Archie at the gas station. He knows Archie's the writer, of course, and he's like, "Yo, man, I have a screen test. It would be dope if you can put in a word for me. Like, look, help a brother out." And Archie reminds him, like, "There's nothing I can really do because Jack doesn't know that they're even trying to take Archie out of the picture in the first place." And Archie just basically tells him essentially what Raymond told Camille: you just have to go in here and kill it. You have to knock this out of the park. You have to be so good that people just can't even deny your greatness. What did you think about that moment, Gunnar? Where Archie's kind of having some real talk. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. You just need to step up to the plate type conversation.
This is who Archie's always been, so it wasn't anywhere like surprising or shocking to me, and I like that he kept that consistent, nor try to like even like butter up, because I always think it's very important to have those connections on network and like, oh, like put a good word for me, like you have my back, right, and everything, like you're gonna play fair with both of us. But that was a reminder of Jack, like if you want it, it's on you. It's not a matter of just because you picked the right person, you know who's who. You have to bring your A game and give it your all. And that's what he put that work in for it. He did that, and he like tried. It was rehearsing with Claire, and like showed the importance of that.
Yeah, and I keep saying that a lot of stuff that goes on in this film, even though it's a timepiece, back in the 40s, it's still so relevant today.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've talked about on previous episodes how here in Hollywood, a lot of it is about who you know. Like every job that I can think of, even AfterBuzz, not about the talent per se. It's all about the person that referred me is who got my foot in the door.
Right,
But
right.
something that was brought up in this is once your foot is in the door, you still have to bring it, and you still have to perform, and you still have to bring your A game. What did you think about the way Ryan Murphy handled that in this story, Rob? What did you think about that?
Yes, I think he handled it well because what he showed with both characters is that there was a lot of pressure on both of them. Archie's pressure is Archie's pressure is from being a Black writer trying to break into the industries in a very segregated time, back in the 40s, and that's his struggle. And then Jackie's struggle is that he is basically a charlatan, a hustler, trying to make it any way he can into the film, and he's turning tricks, and he's married with twins on the way. And we see two different struggles, and yet we see that just because Archie has a leg up on Jackie because he wrote it and he's in with the studio, that doesn't mean anything because he's still struggling to get in. But we also get to see Jackie's struggle as well, and I think that's great. You get to see a mesh of culture and struggle and common struggle between two individuals.
Yeah. And we're actually going to talk about their screen test in just a few minutes. But
Oh,
first, I
man.
do want to bring up another interesting thing that took place, because after she went ballistic and basically told them, "You get this boy off the," and I do mean boy, "You get this boy off of the show as a writer, and fix it, because we're not even trying to go down that road." And he goes and has just the amazing time of his life in Palm Springs with his mistress, and as a result of that, he ends up having a heart attack in the middle of the do. What did you think about the way that whole situation played out, from the retreat in Palm Springs to having to go to the hospital? Your wife and your daughter now come and see you at the hospital, and they are told there on the spot that you are having an affair. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot to take on. I don't think I would have handled it as gracefully as Avis did. What did you think, Kelsey? If you find out your dude is out here, doing things, and now he's on his deathbed, how are you gonna handle that?
There were so many different interesting elements, I think, to that scene, because at first I'm sure all of us are like, yeah, he sucks, have a heart attack, like whatever. But then it was interesting to see how Avis and Claire came in and were clearly upset, but then when they're having their little heart to heart, Claire's like, "I have my screen test on Friday. Like, what the heck?" And Avis is like, "Really, sister? Like, this is what I was trying to save you from." So it shows that Avis wants her daughter to care about her husband, even after she's heard about like everything horrible he's done. But then it was so interesting to see how he handled the whole, like how he gave her all the rights to Ace too, because it was like, okay, well then clearly he trusted her more than we saw through this.
Right.
So I don't know. There were so many different elements. I think that yes, that would have been very hard and a lot to hear and take on. And I think Avis handled it well, only because she, like she kind of alluded to later, was like, I mean, I've done it too, so I can't be
I can't be judgmental.
right. I can't judge you. But yeah, it was, I really liked that scene. I liked the little heart to heart with she and her daughter too.
And Gunnar, what did you think about the fact that, we kind of said that the daughter, all she was thinking about was a string test. And it's like, well, how dare you, ma'am? Your dad is on his deathbed. Like, you kind of need to be a little more concerned with that, not your own career. But they are in a very dysfunctional family. Like, the relationship within these families is every man for themselves. But the mom doesn't really care about the daughter doesn't care about the mom or the dad doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Right.
So isn't she right for really only caring about her screen test?
I do agree with her, because like it's kind of in the mindset that it's like how everyone's got crap going on in their life. You got to keep moving still, even when it's like the worst of the worst. And that's not to say this isn't like, oh, whatever, your dad's dying, like no big deal, get over it. More of the sense of like, you just gotta make sure you don't want to let yourself just completely fall apart and let your life just like come undone with major crisis, so you can hold together. But you have to be more like, wow, like the thing I was most worried for was a screen test a couple hours ago, and now I'm worrisome for my father, not the reverse. Like, oh, and I have a screen test tomorrow. It's like, dude, not the time, not the relevant point.
Too soon, sister. Yeah.
Too soon. But Kelsey, you make a really good point. I loved that, because you almost see the tradition. You'd think the traditional thing would be she'd be in charge of the health and like his like well-being, while the lawyer would take over everything, or someone else at the studio. So that was a very progressive move by him. So it shows the like hidden love he did have for his wife.
Yeah. And Rob, what do you think about that whole, like, how do you analyze that whole situation? Because for me, the relationship between Claire and Avis, that just seems so strange to me. Like, it's like I get it, but at the same time, I don't really fully understand why there's just so much distance between the two of them, because clearly they see each other, they look at each other and see their story, each other's story. So why this whole big wall and disconnect?
Well, I mean, you have a very toxic household, and seems like you have selfish people in that household as well, plus bratty children. So bratty children do stuff like that, like
You're right. You are
dad's
right.
plane crash. Does this mean we can't go to Disneyland? That kind of stuff. But with that, I don't know if Ace was being progressive or was he being slick, because
Yeah.
it is a little strange that he wants his wife to run the studio versus be in charge of his health.
Hmm.
One could say that he may not trust her enough to look after his health. Maybe
Yeah.
he would pull the plug on him, and then now she has a studio too. Who knows? Who knows in this situation? Only the writers and Ace. But yeah, another thing too with the way that Avis was handling like all of this. Number one, the way she was handling the daughter, just basically telling her she's wrong without going off the deep end, and the daughter gets it. Not much
Right.
emotion is needed, just facts and world building in that moment. And
Right.
then number two, how she goes about running the studio. She takes that role and she starts getting the business. And only time will tell where she would go. But right now, I think she's running pretty radically, and I think it's cool what we have going on.
And how about just a little bit of irony that Eleanor Roosevelt is so prevalent in this episode, considering when she was first lady because of her husband's health, there were plenty of times where she was actually running the country. So it's just the
Mhm.
Mhm.
irony of how they
Mhm.
put this story and it's parallel to what was actually going on in the country, at that time or around that time. So I thought that was
Totally.
also pretty interesting on the writing standpoint of things. We move
Tyler,
forward. So like you,
I have something
oh, go
good
ahead.
actually to say because we have a fun chat. We have someone in the chat
Yes.
who
Ooh.
actually
Come on,
said,
chat
so
room.
right, which revisionist take on Hollywood was better, Once Upon a Time or Hollywood?
Ooh.
Oh,
I
Well,
know.
well,
Go
that's
ahead,
a.
go Ron.
I mean, they're two different things. One's
Hmm.
one's a television show which has longer to express. Multiple views, multiple arcs in this whole world versus Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is just a 1 2.5 hour movie, and we have a whole total juxtaposition of what was going on, a whole new world and a whole new remix on what was going on at that time. But for right now, I'm definitely gonna say Tarantino because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was amazing.
So good. I kind of agree. I think they're so different. I think both are
so
amazing.
different.
I'm
Hmm.
kind of enjoying this, to be honest. I
I
loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but this for me, I feel like I'm almost like it's resonating with me a little bit more. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. So
same. I
both
agree.
good.
I agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you, Gunner?
Oh, I mean, we're on the Hollywood After Show. Like, of course, how much
He's like,
better?
where my heart is. All right, I feel it. I solely feel it. Something
Yeah.
else. So we know that Lon Silver, the attorney, he's the one, like you said, that explained everything and how the studio is going to be run. Avis is in control of the studio. Um, the way that Mr. Samuels told Archie that he that the studio head basically they're going to pay him, they're going to give him all of the monetary things. And he can be on set and he can be around. He just can't be there. The way he even had the conversation,
Mhm.
especially during that time, I thought it was uh what's the word I'm looking for? It warmed my heart, I guess. Like I thought it was direct. There was no BS. He wasn't
Mhm.
trying to sugarcoat it, but at the same way, he still kind of did it in a way that's not so shocking and so mean. Like, hey, they just don't like you because you're the N word. Like, I just thought it was a really unique dance that he did to basically display that. What did you guys think about that? Kelsey, you can go first.
I agree. And I think that even Archie kind of said that to him. He was like, thank you. I'm sure this was hard for you too. Like, thanks for just saying it. And no, that's not going to happen. So Ace can tell me himself. I agree with you. I think that um like Dick has a heart, and I think that that's shown through these like 4 episodes we've seen, and clearly towards the end of this, it's like he really is rooting for these people, but he's not the one who gets to make the calls, which is a bummer.
Yeah, and before we get into these screen tests, what did y'all think about the scene where Jack is rehearsing with Claire? Claire kind of makes a move, and Jack shuts it down. Like he kind of,
I was proud.
leaves her hanging, leaves the
Mhm.
blonde bombshell just right there. Like, yo, I gotta go. What did you think about that, Rob?
Well, we're seeing some people do some good things for a change in this episode, and this is one of them. And was planted on the previous episode, when it came down to the encounter on the tennis court, where Jack decided, hey, I'm not going to do this because if I do it this way, this is going to take all the meaning out of it for me. And with him trying to go straight and actually focus on the craft and focus on getting on in the door with his main focus, he doesn't need any distractions. And I'm actually proud of him for being smart enough to see that and actually try to move forward without doing the same thing over again.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing his moral compass kind of point in the right direction. He's not doing as many gigs at the gas station. He's kind of just really, he stood up to Henry, the agent, Henry Wilson, the last episode. Like, he's really kind of like, yo, I got to get serious about this because I'm not going to mess up my wife and kids. What did you think about all of that, Gunnar?
See, Henrietta really isn't doing it for me, and I kind of like him and Claire now, so I'm kind of just like, I think we need a divorce. I think we need a divorce.
Come on,
and we need a
Scandal.
relationship.
No.
We don't want another affair. We don't want more cheating. So like, just like let there be a divorce and then get it with Claire. I don't know. It's just like about it. It's just I'm like I like them more. I like them more together for some reason.
Interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, you know what?
Gunnar.
We're gonna talk about these screen tests and kind of break them down at the end of the show, right before our predictions. So first, let's go ahead and get into some entertainment news with my boy Gunnar.
Well, there's not much more to say right now. There's just people reacting to it, and make sure you guys let us know on our comments and give us a 5-star review. But there's not much happening quite yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all definitely keep commenting, hit us up even after the show because we will respond and shout you out on later episodes. And let's also get into my favorite part of the show, our special segment with Rob, who I'm sure has some trivia for us. What's up, man?
Yes, we're here for the 4th installment of the AfterBuzz TV True Hollywood Stories Trivia. I'm going to be asking, like I did, you guys know, you were here last time, and some of the people who were in the chat who watched it last time, we ask a question. Each question is worth a couple of points, and we're doing a tally, and at the end of the show, we're going to see who's the winner. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to ask the first question. If you guys are ready, you guys
ready? Yeah.
Okay. So in 2015, Johnny Depp formed a band in Hollywood. What was the name of that band? I'll say it one more time, and this time I'll give you a hint. I'll say it one more time, and this time I'll give you a hint. Come on, this is Jack Sparrow, y'all. Y'all should
I know, I love him so much.
I'm thinking of the right person. Where I was like, Johnny Depp's formed a band. I'm thinking of the right Johnny Depp, right?
No,
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes, that Johnny Depp. So in 2015, Johnny Depp formed a band in Hollywood. The hint is Hollywood. What's the name of his band?
Hollywood?
Sunset Boulevard?
No. Okay. All right. The answer is the Hollywood Vampires.
Oh yeah, I would not have guessed.
No, never, not even close.
He just did a cover recently, actually.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, he joined Instagram and did a cover with who was it, Rob? Do you know?
I don't remember. I heard about it. I actually didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
It was good. It was good.
Okay. Well, that one was worth 1 point, and nobody got that one. So
I'm scared to see what's next.
Literally.
Nah, I'm scared too. Okay, so this one is going to be confusing, but just listen to me very carefully, okay?
Okay.
And Kelsey, keep an eye on the chat. Maybe the chat. Let's let the chat try to get in on this one. The brother of an actor who recently won the Oscar for Best Actor died in front of the Viper Room in Los Angeles.
Oh, by my house.
What was the name of the actor who won the Oscar?
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. He recently won, but the brother didn't recently die.
Right. The brother did not recently die.
Oh, God.
You got me.
Can I find a friend?
What's
right? Do we have any lifelines? Ryan,
Alexa?
do you got anything?
Yeah, you guys can use the chat as a lifeline.
No one's chatting.
Hold on, re-ask. I need the question one more time. This is Ryan in the booth, not the voice of God.
Hello, Ryan. Okay, so Ryan, years ago, the brother of this actor who recently won an Oscar for Best Actor died in front of the Viper Room in Los Angeles.
I know it.
Okay.
What? Okay.
So wait, just to clarify one thing, the actor the brother of the actor who died, recently won an Oscar.
Yes.
Me connecting the dots here. Last year, Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor for Joker. He has a brother named River Phoenix, who's in the beginning of Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. River Phoenix tragically died at a young age. I'm going with River Phoenix. Lock
Are
it
you
in.
reading that off the internet?
I
Oh.
forgot about that. I forgot about that. You are right.
Ryan, you won. You got
No way. You so read off them. There's no way you knew that.
I know
verbatim.
River Phoenix, man. I know River Phoenix. He was in the beginning of Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. And I was like, what happened to that guy? I remember my dad going, he tragically died.
Yeah.
Hey, in front of the Viper Room,
He
really?
OD'd in front of the Viper Room. He did.
No way.
Our sound producer, Ryan, one of the best.
Yes.
Green side.
Ryan is one of the best.
Get out of
Okay,
here,
so
Ryan.
you guys ready for the last question?
I think so.
Absolutely.
All right.
We're not doing too well.
Which Hollywood, which actor, producer slash producer slash director formed the Sundance Film Festival? It's multiple choice. I'll give you the choices.
Nice.
Goodness.
So B, Clint Eastwood. A, Clint Eastwood. B, Robert Redford. C, Warren Beatty.
Kelsey.
Go ahead.
Robert Redford?
You got it.
Yes, come on with the guess. Come on.
That was a good guess.
I love Robert Redford.
That was a good one. Betty White loves Robert Redford also. Just a little fun.
He was
fact.
I love Betty
cute.
White.
He was good
I love
looking.
Betty
I love Betty, and because Betty White loves Robert Redford, so do I.
Mhm.
There we go. So real quick, let's talk about some of these screen tests. Since the episode is called Screen Test. And Rob, thank you so much for that trivia game. I look forward to this in the next episode. So Rock, he had a screen test which took 67 takes, and it was painful for me to watch. Claire, well, let's just stop. Let's do one at a time. What did you think about Rock's screen test, Kelsey?
Painful. I mean, it was so painful. Oh, I felt so badly for him. And it was actually really cool how it's Jean, right? So Jean was reading,
Mm-hmm.
and she and Avis had just had this nice chat. So I really like her. I'm like, oh, bless her, because it was so incredibly painful. And she was like rooting for him and, trying to kind of be motherly and saying, oh, honey, it happens to all of us. But yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I felt badly for him.
And Gunnar, would you, if you were going out for a part 67 takes, are you going to stand there and do it as many times as it takes? Or like at take number 50, you're like, you know what? This just isn't my day.
Go till 50. I'm always one to be like, oh, like, don't stop to get it right. But see, for me, I almost thought like this is going to be a bigger plot development. Like maybe like he's illiterate or he has like dyslexia and it's like lessons on like mental health. But then I was like, oh no, this is just, he's not that good of an actor yet. And I was like, oh, poor baby. I was like, oh.
Poor baby.
No.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was rough.
The fact that he was struggling remembering the lines, like that to me that's like acting 101. Like the very first thing you do before you even get the emotion of it, just learn the lines. That's the bare minimum. And he didn't really seem to have that. What did you think, Rob? I keep coming back to the writers because the writers are so important. When they can't get your words right, what is going through your mind?
Well, you start to wonder if you wrote something that a person could connect with. That's one thing. You're like, okay, did I make him a robot or what did I do? How can I rewrite this to make it more simple? But for him, 67 takes. They were all horrible except for 2. And the last one, he actually nailed it. And as far as Rock being in his shoes, like for me, if I would have been Rock Hudson, I would have worked really hard at it and I would have kept going until I got it right, because I've had to do too much. I've had to spoon with a man I barely know, which is very weird. Then I had to make friends, making friends with people in their underwear in a room in my agent's office. I've had to go to parties and like try to sleep with people that I didn't even want to sleep with. I'm gonna ride this thing to the wheels. So I'm gonna make it to the finish line. I had to do it
until they kick me out of here. I'm doing every take. If they let me go to 100 takes, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And so moving on from Rock, who we all agree was a very painful screen test to watch, we go to Claire, and maybe I don't know, but for some reason it didn't start off that bad to me. It wasn't until like middle to end where it just seemed, to me, it seemed like she just gave up. It seemed like she was just like, you know what? I really want to do this, but I just don't feel like even landing. And she kind of like walked off the set. What was your take on Claire's performance, Gunnar?
I completely saw it as, I think she threw it for, I almost said for Meg, for Camille, because I think somewhere along the line, she just knew, I don't know like how they kind of became friends, because I kind of thought that was a little bit odd of how they just went from like rivals and not even like enemies, just like, it just in that like the mirror room scene, she was like, oh, the vapor rub, it helps you cry. And I was like, that's sweet. But I was like, why, where did this come from? I guess I was like, maybe it's
why
like
are you doing
yeah, like a realization. And then seeing her kind of just go like, oh, that's the end of whatever. Okay, but thank you so much for your time. I was like, she threw the audition. I was like, oh, she has a heart. She has a heart.
Yeah, Rob, what did you think? Do you think that is Claire having a heart and she's throwing the audition?
Yeah, I'm not sure if she has a heart or not. I'm not like once again, I'm not I'm not sure if someone's being sincere or slick here. I don't know because part of me thinks she could have thrown it because okay, whatever. She didn't. She realized in that moment, like, okay, I don't really want to be an actor. I'm just doing this to try to get some attention from somebody in my household that I can do something besides eat food and stay in their house. And then the other part of me is just like, okay, well, maybe she threw it because she knew that she wasn't going to get it because she was colored and she could possibly get the part anyway. And then also with the dad being gone, maybe she could have had a moment where she, realized like my dad is dying and like my most important, my thought was, okay, my screen test. So there's so much, I don't know what to call it, but I do think it's rather odd that she just threw the performance and then just walked out. Because her performance wasn't that bad in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm still the entire time. I told you she forever has a side eye for me. I don't trust her. I'm like something's up with her. I can't figure out what it is, but it's just like it's hard to believe that it's just she just has this amazing heart, and now here it is showing full blast. So I'm still watching her very closely. We go back to Jack and Rock Hudson. They actually have like a little mutual shake of hands, like good luck, we wish you well, and like Gunnar just said there was even like a moment between Camille and an old girl, I can't think of her name off the side. Oh, Claire. So we see everybody's in this hustle and they are kind of like, I know we gotta go against each other, but I still wish you well and I'm still gonna be cordial about the whole situation. Jack goes out there and he kills it. I was not that I was surprised, but I'm just happy to see the good guy. Well, good guy in the sense that he's having this moral change. I'm glad to see the good guy kind of doing something great. What was your thoughts on Jack's screen test, Kelsey?
Oh, so good. I was so proud of him. It was nice to see Avis too, and this like them all watching the screening after that she's like, oh my gosh, like getting actually excited. So that was cool. I was happy for him, and I think that there's going to be development. What my guess is okay, I don't want to get into predictions, but I feel like I won't say it. Never mind. I was happy for him.
Predictions are coming.
It's coming. I was happy for him. I do think that Claire threw it for Camille. Who knows why?
And then speaking of Camille, what did y'all think about her screen test? She was able to cry without the vapor rub. Raymond pulled her to the side and was like, yo, you got this. Just go out here and bring everything to this character. Gunnar, what was your thoughts on Camille's performance?
See, with me, I did kind of get bugged that he didn't let her use it. I mean, yes, it's like a no, show me you can, but also I'm also one like, not that it's like a cheat or like an upper hand, but it's like, okay, if there's a little like trick that can assist you to pull off the part exactly, you gotta do it. If it's a pinching your like thigh, if it's a twisting your arm, whatever, like do those kind of things to help you get in that mindset. Or even see like the thing like, oh, think dead puppies, like think those kind of things make you cry for that reason. So I was a little annoyed by that, but I'm glad that she wholeheartedly pulled out the like tears herself.
Yeah, what did you think, Rob?
Yes, so I'm glad that that Raymond took the vapor rub away from her. He took this all alone flipping, and she had to get those tears out because she was in a corner. And on the other hand, Jackie's performance, Jackie, this is what happens when you have somebody with a pure motive behind him. His pure motive was to take care of the family, and he got his opportunity, and he's making the most of it because that's what he's been taught, to make this most of it. and move with the culture and rise to the occasion. And both of them did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So since we don't have much time left, let's go ahead and into these AfterBuzz predictions. One last topic just to mention, at the end, Jack tells Ernie that he has to quit. And I want to know what's up as you guys are making your predictions. What is up with Ernie's health? Kelsey, we'll go with you.
I think Ernie has tuberculosis.
Okay.
That's what I think.
He smokes enough cigarettes.
Or something like that. I don't know if that's the right decade for tuberculosis, but some actual like severe illness.
All right. And what are your predictions for the next episode?
Me?
Yeah, Kelsey. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think the end really got me with Eleanor Roosevelt. That's where I started crying. I was like, let's do this, ladies. I think they're going to give the role, obviously, to Camille, give her a shot. I think that Ace is going to get better and he's going to have a freaking heyday, but that the two underneath him are going to say no and they're going to stand up to him. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think that Jack and Rock are going to get close too and like become friends.
And
allies.
I love that when I saw Eleanor Roosevelt was in this episode, I was like, oh, you already know she's going to be an advocate to get Camille on here because she was definitely an advocate for women and people of color having a level playing field. What are your predictions, Rob, going into episode 5?
Yeah, so I think Ernie has either cancer or maybe tuberculosis. This was the 40s. Who knows what? He could have had a bunch of diseases back then that take you out. But he's on his way out. And as far as the prediction, I think Ace is going to wake up from that and be ready to destroy the world. But I think it's going to be a little bit too late. I think the movie's either going to be in production or done. And I think we're going to see Rock get some redemption because he's had too much of a bad time with his screen test. And then also Henry has that video of pictures up his sleeve of Avis. So we have
Do you
to watch
think
out
he really
for that
has
too.
pictures? You think he really has pictures?
I think he does. He knows too
I don't
much
know.
about it.
I thought that was a lie. But anyway, Gunnar, what are your predictions on episode 4? I'm sorry.
I think it's lung cancer. I don't know tuberculosis at that time frame, but I think it's lung cancer because of all the smoking that was huge back then. I think Camille's gonna get a shot and a part in the movie actually because like the whole like did the right thing, so karma gave her back to her, and I hope Rock.
Claire,
I hope Rock gets a chance again, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Ernie has some type of terminal illness like cancer or something, and obviously I think Camille's going to get the part, and when the Ace comes back, he's gonna go ballistic. I am interested to still see what happens with Rock because I do believe Rock is going to have his moment. I do believe that somehow he and Jack are going to be able to help and use each other throughout the rest of the series. But so I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out. So those are my little, and I'm still watching Claire with major side eye. So those are my predictions. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to our after show for Hollywood episode 4, which is entitled Screen Test. Make sure you guys check us out again tonight. What time is that, Joe? Is that at 8?
That's right.
At 8, we're going to go over episode 5. So join us back here. And starting with Rob, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. That's at Rob Stelo, STEELO. Remember, if you have tips or predictions, hop in the DMs.
Absolutely. Kelsey?
Okay, you can find me at Kelsmeyer2 on everything. And I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat. Gunnar, you got a shout out from Debbie. And I don't know how to pronounce it. Debbie something. Sorry, Debbie. I'm sorry, Debbie.
What's up, Debbie?
I'm sorry. But thank you so much, everyone. Keep chatting. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And Gunnar, what about you? Where can the people find you on social media?
Debbie, you're my new biggest fan, so I love you so much. And you guys can all find me on at the Gunnar Thomas on Instagram and Twitter. And I can't wait to talk more about this awesome miniseries, guys.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, give us a like and a follow. And if you're listening on any of the podcasts, please rate us 5 stars. You can follow me on all social media at the Tyler Tyson. You can follow AfterBuzz at AfterBuzz TV. We will see y'all tonight at 8 p.m. for the recap of episode 5. Peace.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.